have good news.
What's the good news?
Audio and video are finally fucking good.
Oh, nice. I mean, it's fucking.
All right, good.
It's about time, Drew.
Yeah, I know.
It's only our fucking. I was about to say we're only fucking 10 episodes in when we finally figure it out.
Yeah, it was a stupid thing. So last week it actually would have been correct, but I didn't have the audio channels for each guest routed correctly. So now we do. And now I just checked it and everything's fucking working. And that is to say, if you guys are ready, we can go ahead and start.
I'm ready when you are, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready.
Welcome everyone to the Trunk Tales. My name is Andrew. My co-host Grimzy is here with me as always. And today we are joined with Junkyard Tactical, a retired Army medic, retired as a Sergeant First Class, I believe, right? Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. I've seen images of some of your products. Obviously, you sent it over. And a little teaser for people that are watching this. We're putting together a really solid 500 subscriber giveaway. More information will come out on that once we got everything locked down. But I think you guys are really going to like this. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe everywhere. You know, we love the support, but make sure you subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, don't be a bitch, man. Fucking subscribe, man. This shit is free. Hit the subscribe button, man.
Yeah. Use your mom's account.
I'm putting you in the fucking trunk. If you don't subscribe, you get in the goddamn trunk. There's room back there, man. We got room, baby.
Yep. And even if you didn't.
Yeah, I made sure I subscribed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I can attest to Junkyard's products here, man.
You got yours on you?
It's back there somewhere.
Oh. Still unpacking, still moving.
I'm still unpacking, bro. I'm still trying to figure everything out. This I hate moving so much. I hate moving so much, bro.
Yep.
Is Florida different?
Oh man, it's so different. It's so different, bro. I was telling. So I'm not gonna get political, right? But I was walking around at the Walmart over here, and there was this like cute ass little old couple, bro. They had to be like 75, 80. You know what I'm saying? Like real old. The ladies got a Trump shirt on. The dudes got a Trump you missed shirt on, and I'm trying to get by them in the aisle. Right, because I need to go get some bug shit because the mosquitoes been fucking me up. Like it's bad, man. and they were real sweet. Turns out they originated from Chicago, and we were chatting it up and having a good conversation and blah blah blah. And then by the end of that shit, I was like, man, like that's gotta be one of the most heartfelt and genuine conversations I've had with a stranger in a very long time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's just nice out here, man. Like when you walk around like Chicago, you got to have a certain demeanor about you. You know, the way you look to people, the way you talk to people, everything's different. So, you carry that because that's how I've been walking around for so long. And over here, they're just everybody, hi, how you doing? What's going on? And I'm like, are they talking to me? Like what? What's going on? The people here are dope. It's just the bugs, Junk. The bugs, man. These fucking bugs are gonna be the death of me, bro. It's an all-out war with these fucking palmetto bugs.
You got to create a barrier.
I got to create a bazooka.
Burn it down, start over.
I swear to God, bro.
Yeah.
I've never look. The bugs.
They got muscles.
They got more than muscles. They got guns and cigarettes, and they ready to use them. That's the fuck is going on.
Yeah, that.
So it's definitely different out here, bro. It's different. What's the atmosphere in Texas like?
Texas is the same. I mean, I live in Waco, actually Woodway, but it's I'm so close to Waco.
The infamous Waco. The infamous Waco.
I think the biggest difference for you is it's probably not as humid, at least not for as long as it is around here. Like basically here in North Carolina, because I'm right on the coast specifically, and I mean Florida, you're always near the coast. It's basically 90 to 100% humidity every day from March 1st till like November 30th. Basically, I mean the majority of the year it's humid.
Yeah, our humidity just went down.
So it hasn't done that here yet.
So
we've got the lower.
It's been staying in like the 83s.
That's why I can't believe Grimzy's over here wearing like a hoodie and.
Oh, you don't understand. I keep it mad chilly in here, baby.
What do you got us set to?
It's You see this little thing behind me?
Yep.
That thing is set to 64 and both doors are shut. It's mad. Look, this is my zen. This is my zen right here. Cold as shit. Shorts on with a hoodie and I'm chilling. Yeah, I'm in my element right here. I don't like to go outside too much when it's hot. And unfortunately, it's hot all the time over here. So
always you get used to it. I mean, you won't get used to it, but you'll get used to it enough that you're like,
no, the fuck, I'm not.
The weather in Texas, it changes so drastically. It's hot all the time, but the humidity goes up and down. But the people that I've come across are just nice. They're always nice because they're grown up that way. You have assholes out there, but they're few and far between. Like I go to the store, I go shopping, whatever, and people just nod and say, "Hey, what's up?" Especially other veterans, like we wear our veteran hats.
Everyone's got that shirt. Everyone's got that look. Everyone's got the beard the high top cut and all that kind of stuff. So actually talking about service and things like that, you have a soldier's medal. You also have a Bronze Star. I wanted to kind of talk about the story about the Bronze Star because as you explained it to me, that's kind of what led you into the business of manufacturing knives and creating your forge and everything.
Well, I kind of want to get into. I kind of want to get into like the start of it all first. You know what I'm saying? So what led you to?
Likes origin stories.
I like origin stories, man. I'm real big on origin stories because I need to figure out what why it happened, when it happened, the motivation behind it, right? Because to earn the medals that you had, that's not just going in there and doing the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? That's going in there and really embracing the role that you had set yourself in, right? So what was it exactly that made you decide military is what I want to do?
So I went to college twice. I worked for Comanche. I worked for Brown and Rick before I joined the military, and they laid me off. I worked for Comanche Peak Nuclear Power Plant. And Comanche Peak, Glen Rose, Texas. And I worked there for like 8 months, and then they laid us off because we completed the mission or the project. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, "Hey, if you go to school for something that we can hire you back on, we'll pay for it." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm going to be a safety guy." So I went to school to be a safety guy. It's 2 years. And I've already had a degree in art and advertising. So that's what I did when I got out of high school. And so I went back, got 2 more years of college, and I couldn't find a job anywhere. I couldn't find a job to save my life because I was only 24 years old, and they were always hiring. The safety guy was always in his 50s. They got all the jobs, and then so it was getting tight. And I had child support to pay because I had, been married and gotten divorced, and had a daughter. And I was like, "Hey, Dad, you know what? I think I'm going to join the military 4 years and get my college degree." He's like, "Yeah, okay." My dad's a Vietnam vet. He's like, "Don't be a 11 Bravo." And I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "Well, you need to find something you can get, like, a career afterwards."
This is like everyone's story. My parents said the same thing to me. They were like, because I scored so high on the ASVAB, the recruiter was just like, "Here you go, just pick something." And I saw the 6 year for EOD was 100,000 sign-on bonus, and I was like, "That's the one that I want." At 18 years old, right? My parents were like, "No, you want to pick something you'll do when you get out. Get an education. You'll have a career when you get out." I'm not a medic anymore, so it was wasted advice.
So I wanted to be a firefighter. And I went to the recruiter and I said, "You still have the firefighting MOS for the Army?" And he's like, "Unfortunately, we don't have that anymore because it's being contracted out to civilians." And I said, "Well, what's kind of like the next thing?" He's like, "You ever heard of a combat medic?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I have, because a lot of stories about combat medics in Vietnam, my dad highly respects them and stuff." And I was like, "I'll do that." So he had a pretty easy sign-in, so I signed up and went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, to basic training there. And as I was telling you earlier, I was only planning on doing 4 years and getting my college money. And I got my PFC because I already had all that college. And so I came into basic training as a PFC E3, and they put me in charge of a squad. And I loved it. And I just loved everything about the Army after the first couple of days of basic training. And I really excelled in basic training, and drill sergeants were like, yeah, you're going to do great. You're going to do great. And I was like, I'm never getting out of this. They're going to have to kick me out. And my first duty station was Germany. And that was in 1995. I went from 95 to 98. I did a tour in Macedonia and with the UN, and a Bosnian tour with the
Where you at in Germany?
I was stationed at Vilsek, which is right outside Grafenwehr. It was mechanized infantry, 2-2 infantry. And I started off as a driver of one of those 113 track vehicles. And just loved it.
So
loved everything about the Army.
The funny thing about Graf, as I was telling you as well before the show started, when I got off active duty, the reserve unit that I was going into reached out and they said, hey, rather than coming here, doing your 2 weeks and then doing your AT and then 2 weeks again the following month, you can just skip it. If you sign in early, you can go to Germany for AT for 3 weeks. And I was like, okay. And I was right off of active duty. I had no idea that I was going there basically as a babysitter because they didn't have any NCOs going. I was the only one. It was like 6 or 7 other reservists. They were all only ever in the reserves. They were all privates. I had no idea what was going on. But I went through customs in Germany or whatever their equivalent of it is, right? And the guy takes my orders, my ID, and looks at it and he says, so where are you going? And I said, Grafenwehr. He's like, that's not a thing. I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, they gave me this piece of paper. This is where I'm supposed to go. That's all I know. Here's my ID. Here's my orders. He brings somebody else in. They're like talking for a minute. And he's like, okay, you can go. He's like, but that's not how you pronounce it. Don't pronounce it like that again. I'm like, how would I know? Like, I don't go and listen to how somebody says I didn't know the W is pronounced like a V.
But like the first thing you do when you get to Germany is you got to go through that 2-week course to learn how to ask for a beer and where the bathroom is.
The first thing, so I was only there for 3 weeks.
Y'all fucking with me? Like, is that for real?
No. Yeah. You get like a language course when you go to Germany. Well, when I went in 95, like you're in process, you go through this in processing. You have to go to all these stations and get checked off before you actually get to your unit. And part of that in processing, once you get to your unit, you have other things you got to go. Like you got to go to the language course, and you got to get like your household goods squared away, so you can bring them over there. Yeah, and your driver's license, and you have to go to these classes. And part of the classes is the language course where you learn ein Bier bitte, or wo ist die Toilette bitte. So all they got to do is direct you to the thing, or they say how many marks is the beer. So back then it was marks, not euros.
See, that's dope. That's some dope shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I guess I never really thought about it. Like, some people might join the Army just to travel the fucking world, right? Because
that's a good thing.
You can go anywhere.
I traveled all over.
So
I mean, you can't go anywhere that you want. You have to go anywhere they want.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Well,
unless you're on vacation.
You can put in wish list at each PCS, and most of the time you're not going to get it. But
you can.
That's why I put it in my wish list, and I didn't get anything I wanted. But whatever. So Grimzy, actually, an interesting thing that I think could be a good topic for one of your shorts or TikTok style videos. So when we travel to these countries, as he was saying, we go through all these courses and things. We're expected to learn their customs and courtesies. We're expected to act and behave the way that they act and behave in their country. Think about that, how people coming into our country expect us to be tolerant of how they act and behave. So it's like the complete inverse. You come here, you act how you want, but when we go to you, we have to act how you act. It doesn't make any sense.
Especially in the military. Like, civilians don't do that shit, but in the military, you go and you have to go through the cultures class, and you have to learn, like, you get a phrase book, and they tell you everything not to do. Like, when you're in Iraq and you're sitting down talking to a mullah, you don't show them your feet because it's a sign of disrespect, you know. And I went through that thing 3 times, but the second time I went through those culture classes, I was on a 10-man MIT team, and it was hardcore. We actually had, like, I was in what's that place called? Fort Riley, Kansas.
Okay.
And we were doing 3 months of, like, the same thing that the special forces do, because we took over their mission as 10-man MIT teams. We were embedded with the Iraqis, and it was just 10 of us. So
what's a MIT team?
It's a military transition team. It's training. Like, my role as a medic was to train other Iraqis to be medics.
Okay.
Or to give them, like, a goal to achieve, like first aid, buddy aid type stuff. I went all out. I just taught them everything. I had a rolling class almost every day. And then we had other guys that taught infantry tactics and intelligence gathering and communications and logistics and all that stuff. It was like the best tour I've ever had, and because we did so much, and like that's how I got the bronze car, is from all the 200 combat patrols, in addition to training somewhere near 2,000 Iraqis to be medics. I also trained police officers, and I helped them build aid stations where they can learn how to logistically order supplies and keep, like, so their guys can come in and get treated for, like, small things like sprains and bumps and bruises and stuff. But the logistics of it, like ordering Curlex and medications and all that stuff, I taught them how to do that. I worked with the state police in Iraq too, building up, like, because they're more of a combat oriented unit. So I was teaching them how to do, like, trauma courses and how to set up a guy, like a guy to be the medic, and all the stuff he needs to be a medic. And I had, like, a lot of money to spend, but you know, I got resourceful because they wanted to spend more money on, like, certain areas like intelligence gathering and all that stuff. They're like, "Hey, Doc, we don't have enough money for you to do what you want to do, but I mean, you can do whatever you want." So I was making, like, I made, like, dolls, like large scale legs, and I would teach them wound packing with foam from our inside of our little weapons carriers. Like, the weapons carriers were pretty much thrown away and used for something else, but the foam, I took the foam and I cut it into shapes of arms and legs, and cut a little slit in it, fill it with some blood, teach them how to poke the finger in the hole and get all the Curlex you can inside there, and, like, if they have a secondary wound, pull it out and then put it in some more, and then you can use that same Curlex to wrap around it, pressure dressings and all that good stuff.
So how did they like take everything in that you were teaching them? Did they seem grateful? Did they seem like
every person that I had in my class was like a sponge, and they soaked it up, and they would do everything I told them to do.
In comparison,
they remembered it.
In comparison, I'll put this clip that I'm specifically thinking of right now, but in comparison to the Iraqis learning how to do, like, side straddle hops, or for the layperson, jumping jacks.
They can't do that to save them lives.
What do you think was the equivalent in the medical training to that kind of moment? Like, what was it initiating an IV? Was it applying pressure? Was it, like, what was the goofy medical version of that?
They took it really seriously, like I was a doctor.
Okay.
And they were, like, going to medical school.
Okay.
They took it seriously. Now, I have a funny story about one guy that I was teaching how to do trauma, wound packing and bullet hole packing. I said, just imagine you have a bullet hole in your chest, right? Like right below your nipple, and I was teaching them how to look for the frothy blood, and then you could see the lung expanding and stuff, and he has a sucking chest wound, and you gotta have to seal it, and I was teaching him how to do that. And the guy gets up and goes like this. He lifts up his shirt. This guy got shot 7 times. Damn. He's like, yeah, I got one of those wounds right here.
Shit.
I was like, okay, so you're going to be like my expert in the class. So come over here and get closer.
That's wild.
Stuff like that.
Who did he say, like, where he or how he was shot, or who saved him, or?
His buddy saved him, but I didn't really ask.
I guess I should say, like, what the timeline was. Was it like Gulf War? Was it during our invasion?
2003-ish. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
And I got to say that I didn't trust any one of them motherfuckers, okay? I trusted them enough to teach the class, but I was surrounded by a lot of people with guns, and they didn't know that.
Yeah.
And look, when we were on the 10-man mid-team, we had, when we were on Fob Wars in Diyala province, we were in the Special Forces barracks or the Special Forces compound area, and we had dudes from the CIA and special investigators from, some of them from Texas, some of them from other states, but they came down to be like these. When we started teaching the police officers in Diyala, they tagged along on our missions, and I got to be friends with a lot of them. And I would tell them, hey, we got, like 30 guys coming in. They're Iraqi army, and I just let them know what was up, and they were ready to do anything they needed to do while I was teaching that class, myself included. I mean, I didn't have my rifle on me when I was teaching the class, but I did have my sidearm, and so I was ready to put down anybody that started doing some.
That's the best part about being a medic.
Blow themselves up or something like that.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, why would you want to be a medic? When I was like, well, I didn't originally want to be a medic, but the best part about being a medic is that when you're in or attached to these units, if you're attached to like a special operations unit, or you're attached to this, or you're attached to that, you become them. Like, you are trained up to be like them because they need you to do the same job as them until they need you to be a medic.
Yeah, you're a medic secondary.
Yeah.
You're a shooter first.
Yep.
Now, some people don't have that same like ideology. There's a lot of medics that are like, well, I was in the hospital. I don't know how to do all this infantry stuff. Hey, get used to it, guy. You're in the infantry now.
Yep. I mean, I liked it. I hated playing what I tell people is like the school nurse role, where I was updating med pros and telling people to go to dental. It's fucking bullshit. Somebody else can do that.
I don't like that stuff.
I loved going to the range. I didn't like doing nothing and being at the range. I liked when people actually respected me and respected my time, and I was either teaching at the range or shooting at the range. But the hurry up and wait shit, absolutely not. I don't want any part of that.
Is there a certain protective field that you guys have in any unit that you guys get sent to? Yes, as far as like from the other guys in the unit. Oh, being a well, doc, you know what I'm saying?
Every unit that I've been in, which is it's been infantry and cav, and they love their docs, especially if you know what the hell you're doing. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're a shitbag and you're ostracized, and nobody wants to be around you. But if you're a medic that gets down with the party, like I was, I'd do anything they wanted me to do. If they wanted me to man the 240 on a truck, I'm manning 240 on a truck. I'm a shooter first. I did a medic when I'm needed. That's the way I looked at it. Now, as you progress in rank, that kind of like slows down a little bit, and then you're expected to do other things like I was sending my medics on door kicking missions, and they were like, they want me to be in the stack. Sorry, can I be in the stack? And I'm like, well, let me ask, because I don't know if that's Geneva Convention stuff. I got to figure that out. And they do it anyway, and I'm just like, I hope nobody finds out, because you're not supposed to. Don't do it again.
But I mean, as long as you're returning fire and not initiating it, I don't see how that could be as much of a problem.
Oh yeah, returning fire. I mean, that's one of the things you learn as being a combat medic is return fire first. If you go to maneuver to your casualty and you're being fired upon, you got to return fire and get that casualty to cover.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because a couple of the different things that I was taught when I was in, and as everything is, it changes frequently. Basically, the first line of defense for a medic, that is you train up your infantrymen, you train up whoever, so that they can do the basic things. They can drop a line in for you. They can open an airway.
We do CLS classes, and they get like promotion points for it. But we send everybody through our CLS course with the combat life saving course.
Yeah. So
I train everybody.
What I'm getting at for your story though is that if I have a casualty over there, right, and I'm the only medic, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get them to come to me. I don't want to go to them. You just got shot over there, or blown up over there. I want you to come to me because I'm safe. If I can't, if you can't get to me, I want somebody else to bring you to me. And if that can't happen, then I will go to you. But of course, I've trained up my guys. They've either gone through, like you said, CLS or RFR or something else, or even some, I might trust people, or my brigade surgeon might trust the guys enough to, like I said, open airways and drop lines and things like that. So you're reducing your own risk and exposure. But then, of course, you do have people who are like, no, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm going to run over there. I'm going to fucking get you. I'm going to drag you. Because how does the fat electrician call it? The main character. I'm the main character of this story right now. I have plot armor.
Yeah, you're always the main character of your own movie.
That's true.
Okay, and you listen, you two military motherfuckers, you got to understand, there's not everybody watching this knows all these acronyms you motherfuckers are using, the CLS and RFAR and fucking I don't know what the fuck. Listen, we gotta give the whole thing, at least give some fucking context. Even me, I'm getting lost in
CLS
in all the extra shit y'all are.
CLS is combat lifesaver. It's like going through a CPR class with extra steps. You learn how to start an IV. You learn how to put in a saline lock. A couple other, like stop the bleeding, control bleeding, learn how to use a tourniquet, really basic stuff. RFR is Ranger First Responder. It's that.
It's basically you're teaching people to assist you as a medic. And if everybody's CLS qualified, then I know that if somebody gets shot, there's a CLS guy treating him until I get there.
It's like triage, right?
I will say that in combat, like if people got hurt, I've never given an IV in combat because there was no need for it. A lot of times people don't bleed. Like the first gunshot when it was the guy who got shot in the shoulder. He didn't bleed at all, and he missed his blood, his thoracic cavity, his pleura. He missed it. He missed all that, and
got lucky.
He actually shot himself. So, He shot himself with the saw because he was in trouble, and that was in 2003.
Like trying to run back or something, tripped or something along those lines.
No, we were inside the wire, and he got in trouble, and had a moment of stupidity. And didn't want to be there no more, and shot himself.
So when you said he got in trouble, I heard that as he was in a bad situation and was trying to get out.
No, he found himself in a bad situation.
He was trying to get out.
He was doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
He was definitely trying to get out.
He shouldn't have been doing that with, and his squad leader found out, and he ended up shooting himself. And
it's wild.
I ran out. I heard it go off, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, grabbed my A bag, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" There's like all these people running around, and I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "He shot himself. He shot himself." And I looked down, and I see the bullet hole. I was like, "God damn, man! You're not even bleeding."
So he made it. Did he get in even more trouble?
Oh yeah, he got kicked out of the army.
He's fucking. Then again, that's probably what he wanted to do anyway.
Oh yeah, and then there's a rumor that he got out of the army and he was in a bar in Seattle or Tacoma, and he was telling everybody that he got shot by a sniper and survived. and he got his ass whooped by some other guys. So
I
for
never
anybody that's
understood
watching
that
this,
shit, bro.
For anybody that's watching this, there's literally no reason to lie anymore. It's so easy for people to foil your records. You got guys like Cation, Anthony when he's not on a hiatus, Stolen Valor, and a bunch of other guys. And those guys are just the most efficient at it. But I could go do it. Grimzy could go do it. Anybody could go and jump online right now and pull anybody's records for any reason. And they can read what you did and did not do. There's no reason to go to a bar and lie about it. Just don't even tell the story. There's no reason.
Yeah, he never told the story like I shot myself because I got in trouble.
Yeah.
But I got the fuck up anyway. So
Okay, so before there's that gap between Macedonia and Iraq, was there anything significant in between those that pop up to you?
for me, I did my first head wound trauma in Bosnia in '97, and it's in the book too, but it goes a little deeper than the book. But basically, there was a Muslim guy. We were at a checkpoint. We were at a control point on a road with barbed wire, and it's Bradley's. So the Bradley fighting vehicles, they had 4 of them, and then we had one Humvee, which had me, lieutenant, and the interpreter were stuck at the checkpoint. And people coming back and forth, we just check their vehicles for weapons and stuff, right? So the Bradleys go, they leave, they go and do their tour. They do like a figure 8 and come back, right? So there's this guy running down the street from the Serbian side of the village. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, look, this is a crowd of people chasing this dude. I was like, hey, sir, this guy, I can see him. He's got blood all over his face and he's running. And he finally gets to us and I'm yelling at him. I get out of the vehicle. I'm like, hey, come over here. Let me check you out. And he gets there. He falls down and I'm doing my assessment. And I'm looking and he's got a piece of brick stuck in the back of his skull. And I'm like starting to treat him. And all these people are gathering around, right? And they had pitchforks and axes and 2x4s with nails in them, and they were like, we're gonna kill this guy. And
that's real. That's real mob shit, isn't it? Like the fucking mob from the cartoons
it was like
and shit.
It was like they were coming to kill Frankenstein's monster, you know. Anyway, so the interpreter, I was talking to the interpreter, and I was telling the interpreter they need to stand back, go away, go home. This guy's under my care now, so don't mess with us, right? And they didn't listen, and I was like, I'm trying to treat this guy. Somebody needs to get these guys out of here, and nobody was like listening. So that was the first time I pulled my weapon out. I had a 9mm, and I pointed at them, and they started backing up, right? But they weren't backing up because I pulled my weapon out. They were backing up because the Bradleys were coming back. I couldn't hear them, but eventually you see the Bradleys come back and everybody disperses. And I'm just treating this guy. And I said, this guy's got a piece of brick stuck in his skull. He's stuck in his skull. I'm going to leave it there. And I just put like a dressing around it to keep it stabilized. And I bandaged his head and cleaned him up. And he had a bunch of slash marks on his neck and stuff where they tried to slit his throat. And he put up a big fight. And I told the lieutenant that they needed to call a birdie so we can get this guy to the hospital. And the commander said no. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do now? You know, it's like, so the mayor of the Muslim village lived like 2 houses down from where we were. And he came out and was all the commotion. I told the interpreter to talk to him and say, hey, we need to get this guy to the hospital because I showed him like, this is the brick. It's like this big. Yeah. And it's like the diamond piece, the edge of the brick is stuck in his skull. I don't want to remove it. And be careful with him. So they got him in a vehicle and took him off. I don't know what happened after that.
You ever find out what he did?
Yes, he got drunk. They had this potato whiskey or potato vodka called Iraqi. And he was drunk. And to a fight or something down on the Serbian side, and they tried to kill him or whatever, and he started running back to his house.
Over getting drunk and talking shit.
Getting
Ain't
brick
that some
lodged
shit,
in your head,
man?
though, is crazy.
It
But
is.
from,
It's wild.
But that was the first time I ever like did major leg trauma.
for a quick
And
moment,
it was
though,
eye opening.
I do want to give head trauma to somebody else. I want to trigger Afghanistan. Bradleys or tanks, in my opinion. What do you think?
Bradley's tanks.
I'm trying to trigger Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah. Bradleys are not tanks.
Come on,
They're
man. You're
fighting
supposed
vehicles.
to agree with me there. That way he got pissed off.
Okay, so that's fucking Bosnia. We got anything? First of all, what? How does that? How do you?
So let me tell you a story about.
Okay, real quick though, before we go, how do you even assess some shit like that? Like, how do you even assess? Motherfucker's got a big ass brick just lodged in his shit.
So when
First of
you're
all,
doing
how
your
the fuck
blood
was he?
sweep, you're like, nope.
How the fuck was he running with this big ass brick in the back of his head? Like,
Adrenaline it does a lot of things for your body, and when you're like somebody's about to kill you, adrenaline spike. So you could do anything superhuman, like run like really fast and to get away from people that are trying to kill you. So the head to toe assessment is what you do for somebody right off the bat. So head to toe, boom. Oh, he's got a brick stuck in the side of the skull. Okay, so I got to note that, and then I got to keep going. And then that's when I noticed the slashes on his neck, and then he didn't have anything else going on the rest of his body. So I focused on the head trauma. And, you know, the next slashes weren't bleeding so much, so I didn't really think about those until after the fact. And then I stabilized his head, then I went to his slashes on his neck.
you know if he
And
made
then
it?
the guys, I think so. I believe so, because the mullah, the mayor of the, this is another funny story. He treated the son of the mayor of the Muslim village after that, and he had like a big knot on his head, and he was very lethargic, and he was very like out of it and spacey and stuff, and they thought he was wrong, and because I noticed, because all the kids would come up to you and be like, you know, chocolate, give me some chocolate, give me a pen, give me MRE, give me something, give me a Coke or whatever, all the time. And so we had made friends with those kids, and they would just play in front of us. And,
You weren't one of the ones that gave him a Gatorade bottle full of piss?
No.
Okay.
Well, I did throw in a hand MRE at a guy that was like doing this to me, because he was Muslim. So I threw a hand MRE and hit him right in the chest with it. He was standing on top of this burned out VW Bug, and he was like making like shooting noises at us, and I was.
That's funny. Did you open it at least first?
No, I didn't open it.
Ah, man, missed opportunity.
So the mullah invites me for tea, chai. They call it chai. And he invites me, the lieutenant, and the interpreter to his house for tea. And I said, what is this about, sir? And he goes, oh, we got to go because they invited us, and we're doing the right thing. So we're going. I was like, okay. So I went, and he thanked me for treating his son, which all I did was clean his wound. He had a head wound. He fell and hit the side of the table, cut him real bad, and they got infected. So all I did was I cut the hair around the wound, and I cleaned the wound really good, and I gave him some aspirin. And he bounced back to life and was like all happy and stuff. I had him bandaged up and stuff. But cleaning him out did awesome for that little kid. And so we got invited to the mayor's house, and he's giving us tea. He was like thanking us, and he's asked me if I was married, and I said yes, I'm married. He goes, well, would you be interested in marrying my daughter? And I was like, and she comes out. She's like 13, and I said, I'm sorry, but I'm already married, and I can only have one wife in my culture. And he's like,
And
are you
not
sure?
an underage girl.
Are you sure? Because I would love for my daughter to be married to you. And I was like, well, sir, I was telling the lieutenant and the interpreter, I'm like, y'all got to get me out of this. Say something. I mean, Tell him something. Tell him I'm already married, and that I'm a Christian.
Oh, hey,
and that-
look at the time. So I gotta get
Yeah.
back. I got a meeting.
Those
Thanks
motherfuckers.
for the tea.
What is it with those motherfuckers handing out daughters like candy? Like what the fuck?
I know.
I don't understand it.
It's sad.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
I was sad for her because I think she really wanted to marry me.
Yeah, probably to get out of the area. Nobody wants to live there.
Yeah. So let me backtrack a little bit. So after Bosnia, I go back to Germany and I re-enlist. It's my time to re-enlist. So I do another 4 years and I got to select an MOS that would give me, like if I wanted to get out, I could have a better job out in the civilian sector, which I chose LVN, which is a nurse. So after Germany, I went back to Fort Sam Houston and I did 8 weeks of nursing school, which was good. And I was like, oh yeah, what? I could stay another 4 years and, work as a nurse. And when I get out, if I want to get out later, I can be a nurse on the civilian sector, blah, blah, blah. And then I did the 8 weeks and it was great. And then you have to select a duty station to do a year's internship. And I selected, because I wanted to get out of Texas so bad, I wanted like Fort Lewis was my top choice. Madigan Army Medical Hospital. So I got that. So I moved my family to Fort Lewis, and I was on Fort Lewis McCord for about 9 years after that. I got to my internship, and you got to do a bunch of math, and you got to do a bunch of equations and IV therapy and medication solutions and all that stuff. And I was like, this stuff is boring. And then we did our actual rotations, and I did a rotation in the cancer ward, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Oh man, this sucks.
I think the only things that, out of all of my clinical rotations, that I hated were the kidney dialysis lab, and then the NICU. Like those fucking depressing ass places. I wanted to be, trauma, cardiology, and here I am changing diapers on an infant who's like got fucking cancer, and I'm like, this is too depressing. I don't want to fucking be here. I'd rather see somebody get blown up.
Now, I got excited when I did my emergency room rotation, and then after my emergency room rotation went out, then I went to the old soldiers' home, which they called it, and it was a retirement home for soldiers who were in need of medical care, and that just took me out of the game. I didn't want to be a nurse taking care of that stuff, and then basically you were just a glorified ass wiper as a LVN. And I was like, I want to go back and be a combat medic. I want to treat casualties and never see them again. And the instructor was like, hey, the only way you can get out of this course is if you fail these math quizzes. And I was like, how many I got to fail? He's like 3 in a row. And I was like, okay. So I failed 3 in a row. And I got out. And I got this first sergeant commander of the Bravo Company, Madigan, liked me for some reason. And they made me their training NCO while I was like waiting to get my orders or whatever. The commander was like, no, don't worry about that. We'll keep you here for about a year, and you could do training NCO, which is a person that schedules PT tests, does all the training, sets up training, and then does all the notes and stuff. It keeps all the records of it. And I did a great job. And the commander was like, hey, I'm going to send you to the board. Shouldn't be E5. I was like, cool. And then I got my E5. And then a few months later, I got orders to go to Korea. And I did a year in Korea, which was great. I ran an emergency room in Korea for a year at Camp Humphreys, Pyeongtaek. And then I signed a statement that said I wanted to go back to Fort Lewis. And when I came back to Fort Lewis, I got thrust into 1, 2, 3 infantry, striker brigade, and that was in 2000. And we trained up to go to Iraq. That was good stuff. When we trained up on the strikers, and we were the first team to go into Mosul with strikers. And the insurgents hated us because we were so quiet. Our vehicles were so quiet. They called us ghosts. And we got blown up a couple times. We got ambushed a couple times.
What was? I don't really know how else to ask this shit, but what is being blown up feel like? Like what? Just can you walk me through your first?
When I got blown up the first time, it was a small IED that took out the front 2 wheels of my striker. The striker has 8 wheels, so it was like a loud pop sound, and we all had CVCs on, like headphones and microphones, and we just kept going. I was like, "Are we good? Can we still roll?" And then my driver's like, "Yeah, we're still rolling," and so our front 2 vehicles were on fire, but the explosion took out the fire suppression units, because in the vehicle right above the wheel well, there's a fire suppression unit. So if it gets on fire, it goes off. Halon goes off and puts it out. Well, those got blown off. And me, my TC, and my driver were just...
Grimzy's got a memo out of you for not saying what a TC is.
We're talking on the radio to everybody. It's the cat commander. We're talking on the radio to everybody that's in front of us and behind us, and we're like, we're still good, we're still mobile, keep going. By the time we get to the gate in Mosul, there's a fire on our rubber on our wheels is burning. So we bypass the gate and we come in hard, we're burning, and then the mechanics meet us at the gate pretty much and with fire extinguishers, and we just kept rolling. And they were putting it out as we rolled right into the bay. And we had to get another vehicle.
So is this is before they started having big motherfuckers out there, right? Like
no, there was plenty of big explosions.
Are you talking about the vehicles, Grimzy? You talking
No.
about
I'm talking about the IEDs themselves.
Okay.
Oh, it was a crapshoot for IEDs, because a lot of insurgents would just whatever they had, they would dig a hole and put it in there. But they didn't really know if it was like what kind of round it was. They didn't care. They just thought it was going to cause an explosion and kill Americans. So you might get like a whole bunch of mortar rounds, but they're loom rounds. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff happens a lot.
And
sometimes
this is at what time? What year is this?
It's 2003.
Oh, okay. So it's going
a Wild West.
Yeah, it's going off. It's going off at this time.
A lot of stuff happening. I was in Mosul, and I was on Cop Blick every once in a while, and then Marez every once in a while, and back and forth.
Because at this point, they're using V-bids at this time too, right?
Oh yeah, we had a V-bid go off right by Cop Blick, right by the mayor's cell, and but one car blew up 3 other cars, killed, and then another dude was running with a whole bunch of grenades on his vest thing, and one of them fell off and detonated and killed him before he got to the building. We had like one of the axles from the cars flew up in the air and landed on one of the buildings that we were at. It was crazy.
You have to wonder, at what point in your culture do you think to yourself, maybe I don't want to blow myself up to kill other people? You know, like you had the Japanese back in the day, kamikaze and stuff. It was for honor, but it just doesn't even feel like that with people in the Middle East. People in the Middle East are just like, I'm gonna get my 72 virgins. I'm gonna have.
Well, because I mean,
so some of it's like that. Some of it's like that. But other times it is people like the person that like blew up Chahal and Marez with the vest. He had his family. They kidnapped his family and said, if you don't do this and die for Allah, then we're going to kill your family. Well, of course, they killed his family anyway. But some people are made to do things that they don't want to do to protect their families. And they're so evil that you just know that if I don't do this, they're going to kill my family. But I mean, they're going to kill them anyway. We had a lot of interpreters and a lot of people that were attached to us that we trained that got caught up in people wanting to kill us.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of the reasons why like those like homegrown attacks happen at a lot of these fobs, right? They get a hold of, you know, some of these guys' families, and it's like you're either gonna attack everybody in there or we're gonna kill everybody in your family. So I guess
sometimes you don't know if it is or not, and sometimes you don't have time to give a shit if it is or not. All you know is somebody blew us up. It's really not my job to find out who it was and what happened to him. But it is my job to look and try to nullify the situation and like do something about it. As back to McCoy, if you know who he is, he wrote a book about his experience by getting blown up by a guy wearing a vest, and he made it. And I look up for that guy a lot. He does a lot of great things with his.
Yeah, he's on our wish list of people to come on in the future. So it's funny because we have enough reach in, like, for some people, like the people that follow Grimzy are really eager to come on the show, but the people that don't know Grimzy, but they do know me, are like, is your show any good? You know, and so.
That's fair enough, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fair enough. We're just starting out, so I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I mean, sometimes there's people I reach out to. Like, you were surprised that I was able to get you connected with Nick Irving. So they're like, it's just like it's kind of a toss up. Once in a while, somebody's like, "Yeah, man, I want to be on there," and other people are like, "I don't even know who the fuck you are."
I like Nick Irving. I followed his career ever since he wrote his book, The Reaper. And I followed him on that show he did with the Special Forces, where he trained a bunch of people to do a bunch of missions and stuff. I don't know if it's still on or not, but I was like, hey, that's that sniper guy, babe. Yep. You know, she's like, oh yeah, I like that dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Linking up with Nick Irving, you know, I was telling Drew, man, I watched podcasts for so long, and you know, Sean Ryan show and Vlad were big things that I watched. Yeah. When he linked me up with Nick, I was like, and Nick is just, you know, from the outside looking in, Nick is like this figure in what he does, right? Because he's another fucking just high level fucking sniper that most people who pay any attention to military shit listen to. So when we linked up, I was like, man, this is fucking crazy. Only to find out that Nick is just a normal, everyday, cool fucking dude, bro. Like. He's a normal, cool, everyday dude that will fucking kill your bloodline. Oh yeah, no, but whoa. Now that's something completely different, right? We talking about like 100%. Nick's not the dude that you want to play with at any point in your life if you value it, right? Yeah. But like just talking to the motherfucker, and he's just he's cool. You would never, cool. If you didn't know what the fuck he's done or what he can do, and you talk to him, you would never fucking know. Because he's just a cool fucking dude, right?
I like his videos where he's teaching his son how to box and stuff. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him to, cause he started getting back into like YouTube and stuff, and he had that video where he went to Matt Carricker's the property that's at their house, not at the what do they call it? The big camping property that he bought, whatever that was called, Desperado or whatever. But the range that he actually has down in that valley. And he put a video out from there, and I was like, dude, you need to do more of this, because there is kind of a vacuum. I mean, you've got Carricker, who's no longer doing it. You've got, I
invited him to text again.
Invite him again. I'll text him later. We'll be like,
I did. He hasn't responded to my text, but
Nick will respond to you probably in like 6 months and be like, hey man, I'm sorry I missed this.
Yeah, that motherfucker.
He was responding like he likes everything I gotta say, and I like everything he has to say. And but then when I do the
he has intermittent times where he's not really like on social media. He'll come back and he'll be on there posting his thoughts and videos and interacting with people, and then he'll disappear again, and then he'll come back. It's like these ebbs and flows.
He's a cool dude, though.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
But getting back to your story, how many deployments did you do?
So I did 3. So let me talk about the second one, because the second one is where all the shit happens. The second one is very emotional for me, and I may get choked up. I may not. I don't know. But so 2006 rolls around, and we're looking at our second deployment to Iraq. I get promoted to staff sergeant, which is a E6, and I transfer from 123 Infantry to 114 Cav. Same brigade, just different company, and different unit. So I go over there and I take over their aid station. The aid station NCOIC now, and I have like a couple of medics that have their own their vehicles, and they're like run them like ambulances to transport patients and stuff. And then we do sit call, where in the mornings, people come in with their bumps and their hurts and their owies, and we fix them and send them on their way or make appointments for them and stuff like that. We get ready to go to Iraq, and I have to so I'm in charge of the aid station gear and like all the aid station equipment and all the aid station vehicles. And so we moved to Iraq, and I'm going outside the wire. I'm running sit call and I'm running the aid station. We get to Fob Warhorse. Was it Warhorse? I don't remember which one it was. It was the one that blew up. Fob Falcon.
Okay.
So we get to Fob Falcon in 2006, and 114 Cav is running some serious missions. We're getting hit. We're getting blown up. We're taking mass casualties. We had a guy that got, blown up. One of those flechette rounds cut him through the hips, took both his legs off, and my medics treated him with one of those pelvic girdle splints and a bunch of Kerlex, and trapped all that stuff in there and saved his life. And then, he ended up dying from
sepsis or something.
Yeah, sepsis and Walter Reed.
Walter Reed, yeah.
Yeah, he ended up dying. It's there. Crazy shit like that was happening all the time. And then we got blown up when one of the insurgents launched a mortar round, and it went perfectly into our AHA, which is the place where we keep all the ammo. So you're talking about like tank rounds and Sabo rounds and 40 mic rounds, any kind of rounds you had, that we had stockpiled, got hit, and it caused a huge light show, and just all these rounds exploded, and they thought that they got a great hit on us, so they kept launching more mortars and rockets. The Fob Falcon. What we did was everybody just went to their respective buildings, which had like a sandbag cover over their roof, which was usually inside another big hangar, right? Or a building, but it was a lot of sandbags and stuff. A couple of rounds got through and hit down the hallway from where we were all in one room. And we had to go treat those guys. They were like interpreters and stuff. But we got sequestered into our rooms. And so when this was going on, we were playing Ghost Recon. And we played Ghost Recon until, the electricity went out. While all this stuff was going off and stuff, we were just, and then my buddy Costin gets hit, a tile from the ceiling fell as it hits one head, and then we kind of stopped playing, and we were like, okay, we need to put our gear on. We need to take this seriously because they're trying to dial us in and launch more rockets.
Right.
But after that ended, we were watching the news. The news came on, and they're saying that we evacuated. And
how often is this shit happening that y'all are playing fucking Ghost Recon while getting bombarded with mortars and rockets and shit?
So at Fob Falcon, really, I didn't really face but maybe 1 or 2 rockets throughout the time we were there. It was usually they couldn't aim, so they would hit some way far away, like in the trash, where the trash was, or close to the MP station, which is next to the wall. or, it would land somewhere not like a threat or anything like that. But when they hit that that ammo dump, they kept launching. So that was like the one time that we ever, while we were at Falcon, that I like actually noticed rounds coming in. But we were already playing Ghost Recon when it happened, and then they told us we couldn't come out of our rooms and we needed to be in full kit, all that stuff. So you're just sitting there bored, electricity's still on, and two guys that were playing Ghost Recon kept playing. I'm over there I'm just watching them play because you can only play two people at one time.
I can't get past this shit, bro. Like, fucking AHA gets hit, big ass light shows going on, and these motherfuckers are in there playing Ghost Recon because the fucking electricity's still on. Like,
just imagine if the movies and TV shows portrayed that rather than how they always portray everyone throws on their shit, jumps in the back of a vehicle, chases them down, guns them down.
Where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go? The only person that knows where those rounds is coming from is Intel, and they got that blimp. They already launched their, their outgoing rounds to decimate those people. That's why it stopped.
Yeah.
We're just manning the guard towers, so we weren't on the clock. There was people still on the guard towers, those people, that was mission necessary, and every once in a while we had to go up there and like rotate out with them, but we weren't on that mission. That's why we were like bored as fuck and still playing. Now, me and the LT we're just all in there because we were wanting to be together, I guess, to keep each other company. But then we moved to a different mission in Diwania. Diwania was, I forgot who, the Jaish Ahmadi or some insurgent group was calling for blood or intifada or jihad or whatever, and we moved into contact with those people. But we took off all of our stuff, so they didn't know who it was. Like we were they didn't know which unit, if you had spies or whatever. It was weird, but all the people internal people flew Chinooks to Diwania, to the helipad. If you were a driver or a TC or a gunner, you drove the strikers to Diwania. And then they got into firefights, and I went to with everybody else in the Chinook, and I got off the Chinook, and they started bombing us with mortar rounds. They weren't impacting near us, but they were impacting the tarmac close by. And everybody started, when those mortar rounds land, everybody started running, and nobody got hurt that night. And we all collected all of our stuff and went our respective ways. And I took over this aid station that was joint with the Polish surgical force. So there was Polish nurses and Polish doctors and surgeons, and then I had a little aid station. And Diwania, it was rockets every night. It was mortar rounds every night, and you kind of just slept in your helmet and your vest. I kind of used my OTV as kind of like a blanket, because if you moved, you're gonna die. If something's gonna hit your building, you're gonna die. Best place to keep it over your torso in case you make it. But if you run, you're probably gonna get hit by shrapnel. So I'm just kind of staying in place.
Can you just explain to the people, because I know I've heard a few other people explain like what it feels like to hear mortars going off, right? Because isn't it like you hear the initial
whistle?
Yeah, the little whistle of it.
Yeah,
and you don't really know because as it comes down, you don't really hear anything until it hits, right? So what does it feel like to hear those whistles going off and just not knowing where exactly it's gonna hit?
For me personally, if I could hear it, I was gonna live. If I didn't hear it, I probably got killed. with the rockets too. Now, large rocket goes off. Me and my buddy were outside the aid station smoking in a little smoking area, and a rocket flew over our heads. And I thought a plane was crashing. It sounded like a plane was taking a nosedive. And you could see it for a split second. You saw it go over, and we just kind of looked at it like, like that. And it blew up the chow hall. And then we had to mobilize and go to the chow hall and treat casualties and bring them back to the aid station and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I can't imagine no shit like that, man. And I think a lot of civs.
If you were in the Army and you were trained to do this, and you did it and expected it, it gets easier. A civilian, if you just take, like, if I just grabbed you and like we transported to Iraq, I would be like, yeah, we're chilling, and you'd be like, we're gonna die, because you don't know anything, you don't know what's going on or anything like that. So
that's another big reason, like this whole, like, everybody's talking about civil war and this and that, and it's like, bro, I don't think people understand. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand what it's like to be in a war zone. So I don't think people really understand what comes with some shit like that, right? Like,
yeah,
the type of mindset that you have to be in those type of environments is just fucking different.
What they think is going to happen.
Pushing down. You push it down and you keep going forward. You think about it later, but you don't think about it in the moment unless you're having to actually act and do something.
Because, I mean, you hear about soldiers who are trained for it freezing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it's few and far between, but like
everybody's different.
That's what and so if you got guys who are trained for it, they've been around, on those types of ranges, they've heard the type of fire that comes around them, and they freeze. To the normal person who's never been around it, I don't think people really understand what is gonna happen to your mind and body when shit starts actually going off. Because you don't really know until it happens, right? You're either the fucking go guy, or you're the I'm gonna fucking sit here and shit myself, and you don't know until that happens.
Yeah, and there's also, like, if you sit there and shit yourself, you're gonna get fucked with.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
And people don't understand, because, to your point, Grimzy, when people imagine this or fantasize it or whatever, they're thinking war movies. They think every corner of every town of every city or whatever is always going to be on fire, and there's always going to be people running through the street and shooting. The majority of the population is not even going to know what's happening. Like, whatever conflict is going to happen probably miles away from where I live, I could still sit here and have this podcast, and we could be reporting on it while it's happening. And that's how even right now in Ukraine, there's some TikTok influencer making content in their gym, just like an American person is, while they're at war with Russia. I mean, it for most people.
Like me personally, the closest thing I've came to, right, and it's not even comparable, right, but the closest thing that I do when it comes to combat is paintball, right? I play paintball like a motherfucker.
That gives you some experience.
Yeah, and
aiming,
and just that, like, okay, for the people out there,
and wearing your gear correctly, and stuff like that.
The closest thing that you could probably get to is something like that, right? I encourage y'all to go and play paintball somewhere, and there's gonna be times where you get hit from an angle you had no fucking idea was there. That's what comes with shit like firefights. You're not gonna see everything because you're not taught to put yourself in a position to where you can't be hit.
So one of the combat medic training things is called the Mystica at Fort Hood, and it's a town built inside this warehouse, and it's got sand, it's got buildings, it's got a blown up helicopter with casualties inside, and the enemy all has paintballs. You have paintball guns, they have paintball guns. What you're doing is you make movement to contact, and you have firefights with these people that are shooting at you, and you run to the down helicopter, and you're trying to extract these casualties the best way you can, but they're shooting you, And if they shoot you in a place, and you're dead. So somebody else has to come save you. But I got shot in the knee. My knee was exposed. And this dude shot it. And that paintball, I had a bruise for like 3 weeks. And it looked like a black hole sun. It had a sun inside of the sun. I think he shot me twice in the same spot. That's why
was
it was
actual
double.
Was it paintball or was it sim rounds? Because we did some sim
It was
rounds.
paintball. It was paintball.
Yeah, Drew, you don't understand. Like, people don't really understand. Like, those paintballs. When I go home, when I have like a full 3-day weekend paintball event, I go home and I'm littered with bruises every fucking way.
I grew up with paintball guns and stuff, but it was always, like me and my brothers didn't shoot each other. We shot at trees and people's houses.
Yeah,
and
no,
stupid
like
shit like that.
I do like mill sim events where we go and fucking do shit like you leave fucked up.
I got hit with a sim round in training on like the side of my thumb right there. Dude.
What was it, 5.56 or something?
Yeah. Dude. And it was only because I was trying to go and look out of cover, right? So my hand was on the heat shield or whatever on my rifle. So my hand had just kind of popped out and I got hit right there on the top of my thumb. Dude, I just wanted to quit. I was like, this is stupid. This is fucking painful for no goddamn reason. I don't want to do this.
Now, there were sim rounds, like you had to wear goggles when you did sim round, but your cheek was still exposed. So there's a lot of sim rounds from motherfuckers taking headshots, and they would get stuck in your cheek. We had to go pull them out, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But normally they bounce off of you.
Yeah.
So my main point is like I encourage y'all to go to your local paintball field and just go fucking play. And you can see just how easy it is to get fucked up in just a normal playing setting, right? So
it's not bad training.
When you guys have crazy cardio. I've seen videos that people have put out. You guys have fucking crazy cardio. I'm not about that life.
What's cool about real life firefights is when you shoot the enemy, they fucking die.
Yeah.
And there's no more, I'm still shooting because I'm emotionally dead.
Yeah.
There's none of that shit. You fucking die. You get killed.
Oh no, you just continue to shoot.
Shooting stops. The shooting stops.
You know the quote from Kenny Powers, I play real sports, I'm not trying to be the best at exercising. That's how I feel about paintball.
Hey, look, man, Drew. I have an event in North Carolina coming up.
Okay.
And I'm most likely going to it, and I'm gonna bring you with me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna go play paintball, and I wanna see some shit.
You guys play with Tippmann Model 98s and stuff still now? Or
no.
You guys got some high tech shit?
I personally play with pistols.
Okay.
But everybody else is using fucking like 10 ball a second fucking electric.
Is the shit that I just said like an antique now? I just remember that was like the hottest shit.
Yeah, your shit is outdated by a very long time, sir. I wouldn't even put you in no shit like that.
Like showing up with a musket.
I use a Kimbo pistols, so that's what I play with.
So we're midway through the story.
Yep.
We're talking about Diwania. So after Diwania, I go back to the green zone because we're about to leave, right? And I'm running an A station with 38 Cav from Fort Hood, and I'm living underneath this bridge. Like this building was built inside this bridge, and we're running an A station, and we have like 24-hour ops. And I've run a 12-hour shift, and I was on shift. I just got off a 12-hour shift, and it was daytime, and it was July 7th, 2007, or July 17th, 2007, and I was outside smoking a cigarette, and normally you see fires all over the place, and you don't really pay attention to them, because I just thought that the barracks was on fire, because it was a small plume of smoke at first, and I thought maybe somebody's air conditioner was on fire. And I kept, I was just smoking and joking. I talked to the medics that were out there. And then I heard this scream, and a blood curdling scream, the worst scream you could ever hear in your life. And so I just ran toward it. I didn't know what, we all ran toward it. It was me and these two other medics. And we ran toward it. And we just ran into a wall of fire. So it was like, in a movie, and a female came out of this fire engulfed in flames. I yelled for the other two medics to get me a fire extinguisher, and I was yelling at people standing around to get a blanket, and I kept running toward her. She was on fire from her knees to her face, and I just yelling at her because it took me like 3 or 4 seconds to get there, and I was yelling at her, stop, drop, and roll, and it was concrete, and she was trying to do that, and it would just reignite. And so there was a guy that was trying to do something, like he had his cuff of his hand, and he was doing this. I just knocked his ass out of the way and started smashing the flames out with my hands, waiting on the fire extinguisher to come, or a blanket or something. And I was really mad because nobody had shown up with those things in this split seconds that I'd asked for them. And the fire extinguisher gets there. I'm still smashing the flames out with my hands. The fire extinguisher gets there and it doesn't fucking work. And so I'm pissed. And she's yelling at me. I save her face first. I put a fire out in her hair so I could control her, her breathing. And I would concentrate on smashing the flames out on her uniform. And nobody would do anything. Nobody would get me a blanket or anything. And it just got more pissed off because the fire extinguisher didn't work. So I just laid on her. I kind of like smashed all the flames out on my bare hands and body. And I got to a point where adrenaline, like I was talking about earlier, makes you, superhuman. And I told her to get up because she still had boots on and I could still see she had pant legs. I just told her to get up. We're going to go to the aid station to get up. And she got up. She told me, this is what's hard, is she told me to just let her die. And I said, fuck that. You're not going to die in Iraq. I'm going to do what I can. This is what I'm thinking. I'm yelling at her and she's yelling at me. And that's what gave me the guilt. Did I save her? She didn't want to be saved. And I saved her anyway. And I scooped her up. She got up and I put my arms underneath her underarms and we kind of moved together because I didn't want to pick her up because I didn't want flesh to fall off of her. So she could still move, which was great. She's the hero of the story because she got the fuck up after an NCO told her to. So that just blew my mind right there. She got up, we walked in, I handed her off to the guys. They were already planning or preparing for her injuries. And they kind of took me off and said, we're going to treat you. And I was like, oh, we got to make sure that she gets an airway. We got to make sure. And it was like, the doc's got it. The surgeon's here. Let them deal with it. We're going to treat your injuries. I said, I'm not injured. And I looked down and I was like, oh, fuck, I am injured. I was like, holy shit. So my buddy, Bradley Smith, he was a captain or a lieutenant at the time. He pulled me to the side and he treated my wounds. And she was screaming and hollering. I was like, at least I saved, her airway. And she got transported to the big hospital in Baghdad with things on. And I followed her like a day later because they didn't want me to get an infection. And getting debrided, all that stuff was bad. She got 85% of her body was 3rd-degree burns.
Damn.
And mine was like 18% initially. And they sent me home to get, so I didn't get an infection.
Grimzy, are you familiar
I followed
with
her
debridement?
about a couple of days. She went to Germany. A couple of days later, I went to Germany. And then from Germany, we went to San Antonio to the burn ward at BAMC. And it was pretty hellacious. It's pretty hellacious time. And then, I wasn't that injured. I wasn't that. I had controlled burns. Like it healed up really fast, and I did everything that the doctors told me to do. Like I wore these big ass gloves that went up to my elbow. They were rubber gloves, and they were full of silverdine cream. and I squeezed these balls all the time, and I healed up pretty good. I didn't have to get skin grafts or anything like that. So she was in the embarrassing for a long time, and I thought I did a great thing. And I went back home. She was still there. I went back home, and I was like, they're going to give you the soldier's medal, and they put you in for the soldier's medal. So I was like, cool, that's cool. And then she died. And it hurt. It took me a while to get over that. And I didn't think I deserved anything.
So that's rough,
But-
man.
So I carried that guilt, and let it fester and not do anything about it. Had some PTSD from that, and went on for years. And finally I had to get help, but I was already starting first class, and I was at Fort Hood, and I had some emotional breakdowns, and I had to go get help. Strong Star. Now, Strong Star is like not an organization, but it's like a program inside hospitals that aren't military bases. Sorry.
Man, take your time.
Strong Star got me on track, telling the story over and over and over, and getting to a place where you could talk about it. And I was really afraid of fire for a long time. And like, if I see a little Hispanic girl, she just burst into flames, and I hallucinated all that kind of shit for a long time. And what the hard thing was, like, if somebody bursts into flames, am I gonna have to do it again? You know, I would if I had to. That's the fucked up things. I got help. I got the help that I needed, and able to control it a little bit. I'd seen it all the time, and one of the things was they had given me some homework, like I was talking to you about earlier. Just making a fire, just cooking out some burgers on the grill, and I did that, and I was okay, because I controlled it. I controlled the fire. So, and I watched it, started smoking again. But then I got to thinking, I can control fire, and I don't have a background in art or whatever, and I paint, and it's another medium, making knives. I'll watch Forge and Fire.
It's my shit.
And I was like, I can do that. I didn't have anything. I don't have nothing. I built everything. I built a small forge in a hole in the ground in my backyard, and it had a piece of rail from an old railroad that was cut. It was like this big, whatever. I used it as an anvil, and I had like a hair dryer and a pipe, and I would blow air to the fire and make it hot. And then I would beat the knives. Anything I could find, I would beat it and play with it. And pretty soon I got pretty good at it. And then people started wanting me to make knives for them. So that's when I created Junkyard Tactical, which is a junkyard, being that I can make a knife out of anything I find, like in the junkyards. The tactical thing is kind of a joke because everybody at the time was putting tactical on the end of everything.
Yep.
So Junkyard Tactical was born. And I say in my book, it's coming out probably next month, that I control fire. I control it. I make it my bitch. I make beautiful things out of chaos and honor her every time I do it.
So I would ask, I've actually gotten into watching some random YouTuber, Alex Steele, I think is what his name is, like some British guy that makes like Damascus knives and random things like that. What is the metal that you hate working with the most? Because it seems like you guys have something that you're like, I like this, I'm really good with it. And then there's just some metals where you're like, it just takes too much effort, it's not even worth it.
Damascus
Damascus in general.
Yeah. I've only done a few things with Damascus, but it was so hard already. There's a lot of annealing and softening you got to do to drill holes in it. And you have to, I mean, you can make it yourself, but pretty much everybody buys it pre-made because there's a guy somewhere that's making it and selling it and then putting little blanks out for you to make a knife out of.
So he makes all of his himself, either from
Yeah.
the different like layering and then cutting, and I mean,
Yeah.
but he has a full shop, and,
Yeah.
and by full shop, I'm assuming it's full shop. He's got, like
Power hammer,
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
kiln,
Big
and all
boy
that good
press,
stuff.
fucking.
Yeah. I don't have none of that.
So, what would be like? What's your bread and butter? Is it the knives? Is it hatchets? What's your really go-to thing?
Knives and tomahawks.
Okay.
Tomahawks are made by either making the mold and pouring it, and making the mold and melting the steel and pouring it into the sand, or going to the flea market and finding an axe head that's broken and buying it for $20 and taking it home and cutting the pieces off you don't want and making a tomahawk out of it. That's another way I do it. It's the easier way. Knives, I get lawnmower blades, and people are like, some big time knife makers are, they don't care about lawnmower blades, but if you heat treat it right, and you do your annealing process and your temperatures are good, like above 1500 degrees or whatever, and you test it and it holds an edge, you got a good knife. I use lawnmower blades, and like the most recent stuff I was making out of a plowshare from like the 1930s that I found on Texarkana Ranch, and I'd cut that up with the torch and then beat it on the forge.
What would you say is like the prettiest material to work with, but maybe it's either useless because it's too brittle or something along those lines, or at least with the tools that you have, like what is something that you could produce that could be like a piece of wall art, but you would never recommend to somebody to make part of their EDC kit?
The spike knives, I like the railwood spike knives, because I made a lot of knives with railroad spikes, and it's a big time trainer. Like, you learn how to press it with the hammer and get it all like you want, and then you don't know how it was made. Sometimes they're made really good. Sometimes there might be like a part of it that was like it didn't harden properly or whatever, and there's a crack in it, or you don't see it until after you make your final thing. A good way to test it is after you quench it, you hit it with the hammer. If it breaks off, then it's no good.
So really, it's just about the
I won't use the whole
inconsistency
thing.
of the person that came before you.
Yeah.
How did it feel to come full circle from going through probably the most traumatic part of your life and transferring it into something that literally became your biggest fear, and now you're creating beautiful pieces in her name?
It's like climbing a mountain. I guess you could liken it to climbing Mount Everest, the feeling you get for accomplishing that mission, being on top. Now, one of the things that helped me get there, because if I hadn't had this part happen in my life, I would still be down there at the bottom trying to climb. Claudia, her sister, I met her, and Bradley, the guy that treated my wounds and became one of my best friends, he went on to be a major in the Army. He's still at Fort Lewis. He got all of us together a couple of years ago, which sparked me to write this book. And we went to Louisiana to see her gravesite, and we got to talk to her and say our goodbyes and got to explain ourselves. And that was a little soul relieving, like not so much weight was on my shoulders. And then we got to, we went from Louisiana, we went all the way back to San Antonio on a road trip from hell. and having a blast, just me and him, you know, driving. And then we stayed in the hotel, whatever. We ate dinner. We got to talk. And then we went and met them at this restaurant. She didn't know I was going to be there. And she had been looking for me forever.
Her sister.
Yeah, her sister. I met her sister and her husband, Shane. So I talk about it in detail in the book, but pretty much we went to P.F. Chang's and had a dinner that the surgeon that was there, Major Isaacs was his name. And so Major Isaacs, Bradley, myself, Claudia and her husband Shane, we're all having lunch. And we start talking about our sister. And then she realizes who I am. And then we start, me and her, like, connection, holding hands, telling each other our stories. And I asked the questions I needed to get off my chest. And she told me that they were ready for her to go home. That she had spent 3 months in the hospital with her family, with all of her family around her. And they were buying a bed. They were going to take care of her for the rest of her life. Her sister was going to, she was going to live with her sister. And she just got to be around her family and happy. Well, not happy, you know what I mean? Happier than you would be dead. And they got to have that time. And then she developed double pneumonia and passed away. And her sister had to pull the plug. And so we became friends. I did a couple of speaking tours a while back, and I'll tell the story. Veterans Day and Memorial Day here around Austin and Waco. She actually came with me, as I told the story. And then my first draft of the book, I let her read it, and she liked it. I think she's going to like this final draft even better. It's a good book. It goes from the beginning, just like I talked to y'all. It goes from where I was at, why I did what I did, and then, bam, chapter 2 hits you like a brick, and then chapter 3 kind of brings you back up a little bit, and then
what's the
the
title, and where's it going to be available for people?
It's From Fire to Forge.
Okay.
Yeah. A Journey Through Flames.
Did you think? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, is it going to be available like traditional bookstores or only through you, or how can people?
It's going to be on Amazon. Okay.
We'll make sure to include a link for that. It'll also be on Veteran Wiki in case people would like.
That's good.
So I'm the executive director of Veteran Wiki, if you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know it.
Did you on the day you were going to meet her sister, did you think her sister what did you think her sister's reaction to you being there would be? Did you think that there would be a negative reaction? Did you think that, I mean, obviously you didn't think that it would turn into what it did. What did you think going into that?
I had a multitude of emotions driving to meet them. But Bradley was, is always like, so she's really cool. She wants to meet you. She knows about you, but she didn't know that I was going to be there that day. But they had been talking, and so Bradley had some issues, some PTSD from it too, because he feels like he wasn't prepared for her. And he writes the afterword in the book. So the afterword is really long, but it details his perspective of what happened. And Bert Marquardt from Fox News does the foreword and the introduction. And even Mark Sibley does a little blurb on the back of the book.
Nice.
What was I talking about? I lost track of thought.
What you thought was going to be like when you met her.
Okay. So I thought it was going to be, she wasn't going to know who I was. And I was going to have to tell her the story. So one of the things that she was like, told me, she's like, I tried to visit you in the hospital.
All right.
Sorry.
Take your time. Take your time.
But, I was being debrided. Or I was asleep. And I was on morphine for 3 or 4 days. And, because I always thought that was a dream, like I dreamt her coming in and asking me questions. Or her family. I did see her family, her mom and her uncle. Marisol Medio, the girl that faded or passed away. They came in, and I was actually coherent enough to talk to them, and they thanked me.
Can you go and just go back a little bit to her parents coming in? You cut in and out a little bit.
Oh, her mom and her uncle came and saw me, and I was coherent enough to talk to them, and they thanked me for saving her.
That's rough.
Even with them thanking you for saving her, you still had that feeling of you didn't save her. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Well, at that time I was like, she didn't want me to. Did I do the right thing? Because she didn't want me to save her. I didn't know she was gonna die. She was still alive. You know, they were with her all the time. At that time, it was 3 months later till I was already back at Fort Lewis, and she passed away. But that was it's hard.
Well, I will say that you overcome.
Sorry.
No, you good. I will say that you overcoming all that and turning it into the story that it has become now, and turning that situation into something that can make her name live on, right? Through the forge.
Yeah.
I feel like that's as close as you can get to coming full circle on it. And you get to make people happy with weapons, right? Because I know when I received mine, I was happy as a pig in shit fucking with that thing. You know what I'm saying?
I try to personalize.
Yeah.
I try to personalize the stuff as much as I can.
At the end of the day, you get to make people happy doing the things that honors her name. And it's a beautiful thing.
Especially great
bro.
when they know it. They know. Like sometimes people don't know, and they're just like, I'm some pud that makes knives, because there's a lot of knife makers out there. They're good. They're great knife makers. One of my best friends, Gil, he makes knives too, and then a couple other guys I just met, they make knives. But I mean, I want people to know that I make knives for a reason. There's a reason. Fine.
It's a good reason.
And I think anytime you are buying things from somebody that they make themselves, when it's done with a purpose like this, there's always a whole lot more behind it, you know? Especially with a message like this. And every piece of steel that you work ends up being a piece of her in her name. And me personally, I didn't know that when you sent it to me. I had no idea of this story. So that just makes the knife that I have from you mean that much more. You know what I'm saying? And I'm even more grateful for being able to have that as a piece here.
Okay, did you show him?
I think have you seen it?
If you posted it, I've probably seen it, but I
gotta see if
I posted it. I posted it on my on X.
For whatever reason, I never see content from people that I actually follow. I only ever see. What was
That's
that?
weird, right?
Yeah,
It's weird. You have to go to their site to check out some
So
of
the
the
only
stuff.
time I ever see anything that people actually shared is when they shared in the group chat, like, "Hey guys, look at the shit that I just shared." And I'm like, "Dude, I haven't seen your profile in a month."
Yeah, I had a lot. That happens to me a lot too.
I knew I had it because during the move I put it in a specific place that I wouldn't lose that motherfucker in the mystery of the boxes. So this is how it came to me out of the box, and mind you,
Yeah, that's the coffin. The coffin sheath.
all of it. Yeah, the sheath is what caught my eye in the very beginning of it anyway. And I think this is antler.
Yeah, it's antler. it's antler, and then it's leather, and then there's some.
Get in the trunk.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. This, and I seen it, and I was sitting there with my girl, and I was unboxing it because I had been waiting. I was checking the motherfucker in the mail, and then of course you got the Reaper on there.
I need that. I need some high quality shots of that for the thumbnails.
Oh yeah, man. And when I tell you it feels beautiful in the fucking hand. That was one of my favorite parts about it, was how it felt in it, because I didn't know how I was gonna feel about it being antler and being, you know what I'm saying, so rounded at the bottom. But man, it just
the antlers have a natural grip for some reason. They just make the best knife handles.
You don't feel like you'll lose this at any fucking point. So this this feels a whole lot. It was already special to me just because of, one, this is the first gift that I think I've ever gotten from anybody who's known me from the like videos and shit. And it was super personal to me, and I fucking already fell in love with it. But even more now, knowing the origin story of what happened to make you get into forging. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
That definitely means a whole lot more.
Sometimes I talk about this a lot, and with people talking to me, and a lot of people know my story, and I talk about it like I talk about it to everybody. I just assume people know my story when I'm talking to them, and they don't. And it's like, did you read my profile? You know, because some of it's on there. Like you said, we need to get back to the website, and I need to update that website. And we're going to add the book to it also. And
just hit me up if you need help. That's, like I said, that's what I do professionally. So, well, I guess I do this professionally. It just doesn't make me any money.
I'm kind of connected to this organization called Hats Off for Veterans. And one of the people that run it, Lisa, she's like my manager or my book agent. So she's going to be doing a lot of things. She's just like you with the websites and stuff. I'm just waiting until my book comes out, and then we'll do it all at once where everything looks good and easily accessible, and then there's no missing stuff, because then I'll do a snippet of the book on there. And
I would recommend redeveloping your entire site
missing
before the book comes out, not after.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good.
Because it's going to take a while for a lot of that to index. And so if you make a change and you don't publish the change until the day that you launch the book, it could take Google and other search engines up to 4 months. So you want to be at least 4 weeks ahead.
Well, I'll go ahead and start that now.
Yeah. Just let me know if you ever need somebody to look it over.
I'll keep in touch with you, so in case she doesn't know something, you will.
Yeah, bounce it off me. You got my email and stuff now, so.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you want to talk about, or anything that you...
Well, I wanted to talk about Texageddon. So, Texageddon is another thing that's near and dear to my heart, because 2020, bound around the COVID area things, a bunch of us were on like Twitter, and we all wanted to have a place to hang out. We were having our little goon zooms on the Zoom chat, and we'd never met anybody or never met each other. So they asked if somebody had some land, and I was like, I got land. Y'all want to have something kind of like Farmageddon or Indian Apocalypse? And they're like, yeah, let's call it Texageddon. I like Texageddon. Texageddon sounds great to me, because we just had that storm where they called it the Texageddon blizzard or whatever, and Texageddon stuck in my head. But Texageddon is held every year on my land, and it's mainly for followers, the Twitter followers, ex-followers, to get together and like mutuals and meet each other and get to know each other in person. And it's grown. We add more people every year. It's just a good time. It's not training. Well, I have instituted some trauma training into it. But we hold a couple of classes, but it's not like shooter classes. I have 2 ranges. I have a pistol range and a rifle range, and you just shoot. Like, nobody gives a fuck what you shoot, how you shoot, or how much gear you got, or if you don't got no gear. As long as you're out there shooting and having fun, that's all we care about.
Is there a link or anything for people to check it out and register? Or
right now it's just the X handle at Text Again.
That'll be linked underneath. I mean, people will see it on your handle, will be on the screen.
And then eventually we're doing a website next year. For next year, we're starting it now, but we're doing a website where you're going to have to register and buy a ticket and all this stuff. We're just getting bigger as we go. So we're planning on building all kinds of stuff out there, like a clubhouse with being able to sleep some people inside with the air conditioner and maybe a toilet. So everything ran by generators and septic tanks and stuff like that. We're eventually going to build that out there. But really, it's a great time. People come from all over America with their RVs, and they camp for 4 days, and we have this huge barbecue pit in the center of everything, and we stay up all night telling stories, lies about military stuff around the campfire.
You said lies.
And yeah. I mean, that's people embellish or whatever, but when I tell the story, I'm usually serious as fuck. I might tear up a little bit, but usually we talk shit whenever. But there's Navy guys out there, there's Air Force guys, there's Marines here once in a while, and Army dudes, retired Army dudes. It doesn't matter how much time you did the time. You did 2 years, you did 4 years, whatever. You come hang out. We cook some food on the campfire, or Andrew, one of my good buddies, brings his Blackstone, and it's a really huge Blackstone. And so this year we got, so many cool people are coming that found out about it, like Claude's Barbecue.
He's part of the giveaway too.
Educated Hillbilly, Ron from Educated Hillbilly. Buffalo guy Ron, he donated a blanket for the raffle. We're having a raffle out there. I'm raffling a knife, and I got a bunch of patches that people donated. And just all other stuff, like Sport Drink is supposed to be sending us some stuff.
That's cool.
And we're going to have, you know who Joel Gaines is?
Yep.
Okay, so we're good friends. He comes to my land like a couple of weeks after Texageddon, and we host the Waco combat pistol, or whatever he calls it. It's training, pistol training. Defensive pistol is what it's called. And he has that. People show up, from all over the planet or close by Waco. We're going to have a hydration station out there this year because he likes for us to drink water. And I'm going to post some pictures of it. It's going to be really funny.
We'll be ready for it.
I gave him a hint. About it, but it's a hydration station. The altar of hydration.
We'll be ready for it. We'll
if I don't make it this year, I'm definitely coming next year.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
Time. We cook, breakfast in the mornings, and then dinner at night. You're on your own for lunch. There's places close by within like 7, 8, 10 miles, that you can go get stuff and eat it and bring it back or whatever. But staying out there, we mostly talk. We're just sitting around these picnic tables and lounge chairs, listening to people shoot, and then telling stories or talking about stuff that's going on, and just getting to know each other. That's what it's all about. It started off just being veterans, but we included everybody else, and it's just going to get bigger as we go.
That's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
you're more than welcome to come.
We'll try. This year I won't be able to. I actually have a conflict that very same weekend. So I'll be in Michigan for that, for the Michigan and Washington game. So
Indiana. I don't know if they have a site or not, but I think they have a website at Indiana Apocalypse, or IndiePoc, is before Texageddon. So it's probably going on right now, or it already happened. But they're like Farmageddon, Indie Poc, and Texageddon. It's kind of like the three things. They didn't ask me to do it. I just did it. And then they just kind of said, okay, cool. You're part of the family.
It's awesome. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Well,
well, Junk, man, I want to thank you for coming on, man, and sharing that story. I know that story's, you've probably told that story 1,000 times by now, and I know it never gets easier telling that story, man.
I mean, it does. I just always have to break down a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it just be like that. And I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing that with us and spending time with us.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
And, you know, obviously, like I said, I'll have to make it out to Texageddon, if not this year, next year.
Yeah, it's every October, in the middle of October. Next year is the 16th to the 19th.
okay.
Tentatively.
Drew, you got anything else for us?
I don't. I'll make sure that all the links and everything, send me over any information that you might have as well that we might have glossed over that I'm not going to remember or might not have been really talked about, where there might be information. Email it over to me and we'll make sure that it's down below for everybody. Your X handle will be on there and your website, everything, basically any way that people want to try and get in contact with you, we'll make sure that's on there. And
Okay.
yeah, man, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the giveaway thing, because if whoever wins, you know, they get to say it that they win a knife for me, then get to personalize it.
Yeah, so we don't want to give away too much, but trust me, like the knife, we got Claude's, we got a couple authors, we got a couple other things that we're working on. They haven't fully given the yes yet, but it does look like, and this is going to be, just so everybody's clear, this is going to be a 500 subscriber giveaway on YouTube. Once we hit that milestone, there will be rules that come out. There will be a method to participate. Obviously, no purchase necessary or anything like that, but it's going to be a good time. So get subscribed. The faster we get to 500 subscribers, the faster we can get to the giveaway.
Yeah, I'll push it as much as I can.
Appreciate you.
We appreciate it, man. So
when is this gonna happen? When is this gonna show up?
Friday.
Friday.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
yeah, he gets them out pretty quick. So my people, as always, man, love, peace, and chicken grease. We're gonna get the fuck out of here, man. Once again, Junk, I appreciate you, man. Drew, appreciate you as always.
Hey, thanks.
We're gonna get the
Thanks a
fuck
lot,
out of
man.
here, man.
All right,
All
guys.
right, bye, everybody.
Drunk tales! Drunk tales! Drunk tales! Grimzy, bacon father! Drunk tales! Drunk tales! Drunk tales! Grimzy, bacon father! Sit up front, sit and talk. We ain't here to ball and mark. The front seat is where great minds meet, while the big picture comes into focus. Come and ride, take pride. You are listening to Drunk Tales. Talk from Main Street. I'm a matter of all that matters. Educated on the beat of where DC, Wall Street meet. Lessons learned from